What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us on another episode of the podcast, the Simple Habits and Great Results podcast. I'm actually going to kind of make this into a little mini channel that me and my wife are going to do. It's actually going to be called Bedroom Talks because we have a lot of great conversations amongst each other, and that's something that we wanted to bring forward to any and everybody that can potentially help. So, no further ado, this is the podcast, and I just want to introduce my wife, my wonderful, amazing wife.
Hi, my name is Tanika. I am Quentin's wife. I am super excited to be able to share this moment with my husband. This has been something that we have talked about pretty regularly, wanting to do with each other, and just haven't had the opportunity to do so. So I'm excited to be here in this moment, and I just hope everyone receives the information well and enjoy our podcast. So thanks, baby, for having me.
No problem, no problem. Anytime, anytime you can hop on anytime you want to. So I know typically when you have somebody come in to a podcast or something, you tell this story about how they met and everything, which we will actually do that at one point in time, how we met, because I think it's a amazing
It
story. They should
is.
probably write a movie about it because it's that just that great. But today we actually talked about this conversation that we wanted to have with you all in terms of growth in relationships. We were actually on our way back from our honeymoon when we
Our
our
anniversary.
anniversary. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, anniversary, and we started talking about something, and it kind of just like sprung into this whole big, really awesome conversation. So we thought we would bring that to you all today. And again, the topic of today that we're going to go over is growth in relationships. In relationships, it's really important for you all to grow together. And part of this conversation is going to be why it's important for growth in a relationship, what growth looks like in a relationship, and how supporting your partner is going to be more beneficial to you and them and help you all stay together and stick together. As a part of a marriage, when we took on our marriage and set our vows, we decided that we was going to do this life together. And from that standpoint, for us to just stay pat at where we are, it doesn't really make any sense. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I agree. Growth is vital to not even just a marriage, but any relationship, anything that you have, because life changes and things happen, and if you're not growing together, it's like what are you doing? It kind of halts the process, if because I'm changing every day and you're changing every day. It's like when we first met each other, I may have been, this person. I may have like these things, but as life goes on, I've grown into someone totally different. So it's like the woman that you originally met, I may be someone totally different, 5 years from now or a year from now, whatever. And if we're not growing together, then you may not be able to accept that new person or how I've changed or shifted or whatever in my life. So it's important to grow together and to be understanding that okay, I am here today, but tomorrow I might be in a different space, it may be in a different space, and being able to accept that, okay, well, this is still the woman I married originally, but she's grown into a different person. Just like with a butterfly, a butterfly goes through different stages in its life and it metamorphoses into something really beautiful, So we all in life go through different stages of our lives. We're not going to stay the same. We shift, we grow. So in order for us to continue to be married to each other and be able to work together, we have to grow together, which means being able to communicate with each other, being able to admit when I'm wrong in something. We always kind of want to be right about everything that we do, but it's like sometimes you're not right, and that's okay. That's okay. But being willing to accept that and move on, because that is how you keep your relationships healthy. That's how you look up in 30 years, you're still married to that same person or whatever the case may be. So growth is to me vital to a relationship, because if you're not growing together, what are you doing? And who wants to be stagnant or stand still? Who wants to be in the same place 30 years from now that they were, 20 years, it's like, so you have to grow. It's vital.
And I would even add to that by saying if one person in the relationship is growing and the other one isn't, that is where the divide happens in most
Definitely.
marriages. Now, granted, we've only been married for 4 years, so we still got a long way to go. But even from our knowledge and seeing other relationships and other marriages and everything like that, that is one of the things that I've honed in on. It's like, okay, this is why it's important for us both to grow together as a team, as a marriage, as a partnership, because if one of us isn't, that's where the divide happens.
Yeah,
That's really where a lot of issues may arise because, say for instance, the woman grows more than the man. Well, that may bring some type of egotistical outlook from the man's standpoint. It's like, oh man, I gotta do better than my wife. No, that's not the case. Or vice versa. Maybe the man starts to get more controlling because, like, oh, I have all the power. I'm the one doing this, and that, instead of it just being a partnership where everybody is growing together, everybody takes on the same responsibilities, and everybody in the relationship, that is, shares everything that's going on with each other versus I got this and you got that.
I agree. And also, I would say too, there are instances where I'm growing in my relationship. Okay, I just got a new career. Maybe my income level just kind of went up and I'm doing a little bit better than you. There are cases where some people will look at that and say, well, oh, well, dang, I need to step back because I don't want to overstep the other person, and then you end up stopping your growth because you're trying to stay on the same level as your partner, so therefore you're losing out because you're trying to look out for them because maybe you don't want to hurt their feelings or whatever the case may be. But when you're both growing together, no one has to stop their success. No one has to stop doing things in their lives that they may enjoy, that are going to get them to that next level.
Mhm. Yeah, now that kind of brings me into the next talking point. What does growth look like in a relationship and in a marriage? Like to me, I would say that growth in a marriage looks like just continue evolution of who you are as a person. Like yes, everybody grows. Like I've grown significantly since I was a 10-year-old kid to now to this point as a 36-year-old man basically. But when you're talking about a relationship, that is something that both of you have a understanding and a communication of what you're trying to do on a day in day out basis, going back to what you talked about with communication. That is huge because if you're communicating to your partner, okay, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what I want to do with my life, and they have that support, which we'll get into in a little bit, like that just makes the relationship grow.
I agree.
And when you have two people who are understanding of what is going on and what my partner's trying to do, that signifies growth. Like, I mean, granted, there are many different ways that you can grow a relationship from a spiritual standpoint, from a communication standpoint, sexual, um, supportive. You can grow in many different aspects of relationship, but I think it's important to one communicate with the person what you're trying to do, and two, be honest about where you are mentally, physically, and emotionally about what's going on.
I agree. I agree. And I will kind of give, just a little insight to our story as well. When you first got laid off your job, it was a kickback because it was like, oh God, we're losing that another source of income that we could have to help us, especially where we're in a good place in our life where things is going good, they're going the way we want them to, and then, having that income taken away, that's a big loss for us. However, it was like I knew you had always dreamed of owning your own business, and that was a long time dream of yours to do so. And it was like I thought to myself, well, God, yeah, sure, I want him to go back out and get another job because we need the income. But the other part of me thought too, as far as, you know, sure, I want him to go out and get another job, but I want him to be happy. And I want him to make a decision that is going to not only, allow him to accomplish his dreams and goals in life, but that's going to eventually set us up for major success, more so than it would him having that job. And that was, you starting your own business. because it's tough. It's like, okay, now we're for sure on one income until you get the ball rolling in your court. But for me, it was about, okay, this is the person that I love. I married this person, so I want him to be happy in his life. And if he is going to be happy and starting his own business, and that's going to bring him the happiness that he's always longed for, then I'm going to support that. I'm going to take my pride and step it, put it to the side in order to support my partner and allowing him to be able to do something that he's always wanted to do in his life. And I think that's also a part of growth, is being able to say, you know what, hey, you know, I'm going to do what I need to do to hold down the fort while my husband or my wife or whomever takes care of this. And I'm going to support them, you know, in any type of way possibly that I can, because that's going to set this person and our family up in the long run, to where we have a little bit more stability and we're not having to depend on, these jobs every time you turn around, you're getting laid off or whatever the case may be. So it's about sacrificing for the people that you love, um, because I didn't want to look up one day and say, well, my husband was never able to accomplish his dreams and goals because of me, because I forced him back into the job market to do something that I knew he wasn't happy doing. And so I do think that is a part of growth, because although it wasn't an easy decision to make, it felt right and it was justified, being that as your wife I have to be supportive of your dreams and goals, and when I believe in you and I know you're very capable of doing things, being supportive of your vision as well. And two, making sure that when you are in a relationship with someone, whether that be just boyfriend and girlfriend, whether you're married, being mindful of who you allow into your relationship, who you tell things to. A lot of times we have problems and we have issues and we're seeking advice from others. And what we don't realize is not everybody is for you. Not everybody is going to be happy of what you have going on in your life or the person that you're with and those types of things. So being mindful of who you're allowing into your relationship, because those things really can hinder the growth of a relationship, especially if, say you started out having problems with someone in the beginning, little minor things. And that you guys got past that, you fixed those issues and you no longer have those issues. Well, whoever you disclose your information to may still hang on to the negative side of things when things weren't so good for you. And it's like, no matter what you do at that point, they'll always only see the negative. They'll always only see, oh, well, I remember when, she did this or whatever the case may be, instead of seeing, okay, hey, yeah, that did happen. But we've grown from that and we're no longer those people. So being mindful of who you bring into your relationship and who you tell certain things to, is very important in the growth of your relationship and where you're trying to go with that relationship too. Because people's influence, and when you have this person in your ear, that person in your ear, because you've allowed them to be in it, can just be very detrimental to the growth of your relationship and you trying to get past things and be better.
Yeah, no, I can understand that because, like, there have been times when I myself have maybe said too much to a certain person, and they took that to the grave with them.
Yeah.
Like, they took those feelings to the grave with them
Yeah.
because they were unable to let that go,
Yeah.
just like I let that go.
Exactly.
So sometimes you really do. Yeah, I agree. You have to be mindful of who you talk to,
Yeah.
because, like you said, not everybody's not everybody is on your team. Not
Yeah.
everybody's in the same mind frame as you are, and a bitter person will forever be bitter.
I, I
and,
agree.
and because of that bitterness, they may again hold on to that thing
And not want to see you happy.
and not want to see you happy too.
Yeah.
So
So, if you need help or counseling, go to a professional, seek out actual professional advice of people who don't know you and your story. Therefore, they really can't judge you, as much as someone that you may know. So I would recommend doing that as opposed to talking to close ones or, friends and family, because, like I said, you just never know who is really out for your happiness and the success of what you have going on.
and even to that, if you can't afford therapy or anything like that, the most important person to talk to is your partner.
I agree. Definitely.
And also letting your partner know how you feel, and it's on us as partners too, the opposite, to actually receive the information and take it to heart instead of being defensive about it. Just kind of have an understanding that this is only going to help us be better. This
Exactly.
is only going to help us grow as a couple. So I need to receive this and not take it as I'm the worst thing in the world.
Exactly. I agree.
And if I can be honest with you, like every day when I think about the sacrifice that you made to allow me to do the thing that I dreamed of doing, and to own my own business and to start a podcast, start writing, like just the encouragement alone that you've given me, it's been like it's well worth it. And it's almost like this is something that God gave us. This is something that we should hold and cherish until the day we die because God gave it to us.
Mm.
And we're not to get too religious about anything, but we are really big into our faith. But for the most part, it's because we know that God has done a lot for us,
Yeah.
including bringing us together.
Amen.
So from that standpoint, whenever I think about what you did for me, it just encourages me to push harder, push more, and to grow more, and to encourage you to do the same thing, and to chase your dreams and pursue the things that you want. Because at the end of the day, it's like you said, if you're doing great and I'm doing great, we're both doing great. I
Right.
mean, the family is just booming. It's just doing some magical things because we both believed in each other enough to pursue our passions and to do our thing the way we wanted to do it.
Right.
And there was nobody to stop us,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, because it's not a competition. It's two people that love each other, and we are ultimately, as a family, we're trying to achieve the same goals. To set our family up for success, for wealth, for our kids and our kids' kids, and so on and so forth. So it's not a competition. We're not competing with each other. We're a team, and we're working together to build a life that we never had for ourselves, but we want to have for our kids and our families to come. So um, it's about sometimes just taking the back burner and sitting back outside of yourself and saying, hey, I'm going to sacrifice if I need to in order for my family to have the life that I've always wanted us to have. And I think that is really important in relationships. I think a lot of times, we stop growing together, and it's almost like we would start to compete with each other. But it's not a competition. And I will also say too, with growth, it's also about being able to look at yourself in the mirror and admit, hey, I was, like I said earlier, like I'm in the wrong here. Just like football. Football, you have your playbook, and you have the videos that you go over from a game, just to kind of see, okay, what did I do right, what didn't I do right, what could I've done better. I think it's the same thing in relationships and marriages. We always need to look at ourselves and say, okay, well, I could have done this better here. Or, maybe I didn't do this, or maybe I did do this right. This did work, because that's really important in growth as well, is being able to have that self-evaluation of yourself to say, you know what, hey, I could have done better. This is what I could have done, and this maybe wouldn't have happened, or whatever the case may be, because you can't continue to do the same things over and over in life and expect different outcomes, because that's just not how it works. So, in order to grow, you have to be willing to say, you know what, hey, I apologize. Okay, let me reevaluate myself. Let me see what I could have done better in that situation, because that's going to be really important. Even if you're in a relationship and it doesn't work, you take that to the next relationship. Okay, this is the person that I was, and it didn't work for me. So what can I do next in the next relationship that is going to work for me?
Yeah, and that's growth.
Yeah,
Learning to admit things that you don't want to is growth.
exactly.
Learning from your mistakes is growth. And I think that is what a lot of people are missing because they're quick to blame somebody else
Mm.
when instead of looking in the mirror and understanding, okay, what did I do?
Exactly.
How did I um, how did I what am I trying to say? How did I add to the issue of what just took place? What part did I have to play in that whole scenario that caused it to blow up to what it was? Like just being willing to admit that and understand that and learn from that, that's growth in itself.
Amen.
And especially in relationships where you may have an argument here and there, or you may have disagreements, understanding that that's okay, that's fine, but what can I do next time to better the situation? Or
Mhm.
what can I do the next time that's going to prevent this situation altogether? Because this person that I'm with, this a life thing. This ain't just a little boo thing that I met on the weekend. You know what I mean? you know, this is not that. So from that standpoint, just understanding that everybody has a part to play in a relationship.
Definitely.
And if you're playing your part and you are learning and you are growing, that relationship is going to stand the test of time.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
And again, this is just it's just a beautiful thing when, I guess when two people can sit in front of a camera and talk about
I agree.
it. But I do appreciate like your thoughts and all that because and I appreciate you because you're a very wise woman. And from that standpoint, I've definitely seen a lot of growth in you as far as like your ability to be a better woman, to be a better daughter, mother, wife, everything. You've grown tremendously since that first day we met in that hallway at Clayton State. Again, we'll get that story later.
Yeah.
But like there's so much growth and it's going to be so much more because that's just the person that you are and you're not going to stop until you get to where you want to be, and then you're just gonna keep going.
Definitely.
Right. So the last talking point that we're gonna kind of get into is why is supporting your partner actually going to be beneficial for both you and the long term success of that relationship? And we've kind of already hit on this a little bit, but I'll speak my piece, so to speak. When all this stuff happened and I got laid off and everything, it was a tough time. But the encouragement that I got from my wife was like like no other. Like I mean it was absolutely amazing and like I said, every day I appreciate you for that because I was in a deep dark place. And I spoke about this on the podcast before, but so I'm not going to go back into that, but I was in a deep dark place and it was because of the words from my wife that it rose me up out of that dark place into where I am now, where I feel like, okay, I am headed in the right direction. And that wouldn't have been the case had I not had the supportive wife and my supportive partner just giving me the advice I need, giving me the support I need, telling me that I can do it, and just encourage me every single day to get out there and do what I have to do because it was beautiful. It really was. It was just one of those things that I don't know if I would have ever gotten from anybody else, but I'm glad I got it from you.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, for that. It's so easy, I think, to when someone's going through something, especially if it's not something that you've been through, you understand it, of course, losing a job for somebody that's tough. That's your income. That's your source of, how do you feed your family? You provide all those things come into that, but it's so easy to, in a sense, kick somebody when they're down, not that I would kick you, but it's so easy to, just not really be as supportive as you could be because of all the emotions and everything that gets put into that type of a situation, because now you're freaking out. Okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? That's what you're thinking about. But again, for me, it was about, okay, I love this man. He is my partner. What do I need to do to support him so therefore he can pick himself up and get back on his feet in order to do something that he wants to do that is going to allow us to move our lives forward, because this it can't just stop here, So it's like in my mind, it was, I knew if I was in the situation, as you have many a times, supported me in any and everything that I've ever wanted to do in my life. You've always been the number one encouragement for me, to do it, just do it, just do it. And so, I knew I also had to be the same for you. I had to say to you, hey, this hurts. Yes, this sucks. No, it's not fair, But to me, I feel like I look at every experience, whether it be good or bad experiences in life, and I say, you know what, hey, this might really suck on the outside, but there's a blessing in this. And we just gotta find the blessing in this. And to me, the blessing in that was you starting your own business, because it was like, okay, yeah, sure, you were down just for a little bit, but you picked yourself up, you got your business going, and we haven't looked back since. And so finding people, and that's another part of growth too. When you are with someone who says, you know what, I want to, I might have to put myself or what I want to do on the back burner for in order for my partner to achieve what they need to achieve, and then vice versa, them also doing the same thing for you. That to me is also growth. That is supporting each other, because that support is very, very important in a relationship. Had I not supported you and you got back into, just another job and not been happy in that situation, then you come home to me and then you're not happy in the situation, and then that also can cause strain on us. So it's like just being able to support you and say, you know what, hey, I got you. We're going to be okay. Do what you need to do for yourself. Do what you love. Do what you've always wanted to do. And therefore, this can kind of really take our family where we need to be. Therefore, you're happy and you come home to me happy and I'm happy, and we're going to be okay. So I think that is really important, is supporting each other's goals and dreams in life, because I don't want, I think too, when you don't do that, a lot of times, and I'm not saying this happens every time, but that could also create some type of resentment later. Oh, you've been able to go out here, and I've taken the back burner to allow you to go out here and live your life and do everything that you wanted to do for yourself. And then here I am stuck, and you've never supported me or my dreams and my goals. So I didn't want that for us. I didn't want you to one day look at me and have any type of resentment because I wasn't supportive of your dreams and your vision at that time. I didn't want that for us, because I knew also that you would have done the same for me. And I think that was very important in where we were at that time in our lives.
Yeah, and that's a great point because like when you have somebody that's just that's going to push you, support you, and be there with you through the thick and the thin, that just makes life that much better.
It does.
Because like I am the person that I want to reciprocate that. I want to give you everything that you've given to me because it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Like our family is going to grow because of this. And the things that you desire, which we're not going to go into on this podcast later date. We'll talk about it later. But the things that you want to do with your life, I'm full throttle. Like I've told you thousands of times. I don't care what it is, as long as it's not, robbing a bank. I mean, hey, if you want to put the money somewhere, that's cool. Just let me know. But I support everything that you want to do. I support your life. I support your lifestyle. I support you wanting to pursue your dreams and goals and everything because that's important. Because if I didn't, that means the chances of you growing may not happen.
Right.
It may mitigate the chances of you growing to the person that you wanted to be.
Right.
Because I've seen this in a lot of like older relationships that maybe one is not supportive of the other, and again that resentment comes into
Yeah.
play, and they start like kind of regretting things because it's like, oh man, I wish I would have did this, or I wish I should could have did this, but that person that was in my life, that was my life partner, didn't support me
Yeah.
because
And then they start to turn to other people who may have, oh, yeah, why not? So, yeah,
it's very important. I
it
mean,
is.
that support is a huge thing. It's like it's up there with communication.
It is.
You have, granted, any great relationship, regardless of what it is, has to have communication and support.
Yeah.
And if you have those two things, you're not all the way there because you got to go through it, but you have built a solid foundation to stand on with your relationship.
Yeah. And another point for me is that a lot of men feel that, oh, I'm the head of the household. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to be the one supporting my family. I have to make all the money. I have to do this. But I don't, I feel like there is nothing, we're a team. So it's not one should be doing more than the other. We both should be given, in my own opinion, personally, 100% to the relationship. This is something that we have to constantly work on. And I don't think it should be all the pressure should be put on one person, but I know with men losing jobs, that's really tough on a man because a man feels like, hey, I am the head of my family. I need to be able to support my family. So, again, for me, it was, you know, I don't look at it like that. We're a family, we're a team. It's not on you to do everything. It's about me giving my 100% and you giving your 100%. I know I hear a lot of people say, oh, the 50-50. To me, that's just, so you're just giving half. Like, no, giving your 100% into this. I'm giving my 100% into this. We're a team. We do this together. So, for me, it was okay, my husband needs me to step up to the plate. So I need to do this for him while he gets himself together, because I give just like you give. We're a team in that. So I just thought, that was really important as well for me. It's not about, oh, the man has to do everything. And people will say that. And I hear people say that all the time. No, we're a team. I can do just as much as you. I'm just as capable as you are in this teamwork, in this marriage.
Yeah, and that brings me to the thought of like I truly hate this line and this phrase that I hear often, like the behind every man is behind every successful man is a woman. Like that is something that I hate with a passion, because my wife is never behind me. Never. My wife is right here standing beside me.